Chapter 20. Seeds that grow and seeds that don't. I talk to Ronan on the phone and tell him I'm okay. He says he can come over for a Monopoly game, but I say maybe tomorrow. Instead, I share popcorn with Grammy on the couch and watch the Game Show Network. We like seeing happy people win things. It's raining the next morning, and when I wake, I stay in bed and try to hold on to the dream I had of Papa Joseph. We were out searching for old coins with his metal detector. One of our favorite things to do after a storm was to head to the beach and see what we could find, because a hard rain helps the metal detector pick up signals. We'd see other detectors down there, but Papa knew that searching along the walls after a storm was a good way to find things. We found lots of coins, mostly new money, but also some buffalo nickels and a silver dollar from the bicentennial. Papa also loved to go to wooded areas around Concord and Lexington. We found some pieces of metal that could have been musket balls from the Revolutionary War. He was so excited, but he wouldn't take them to a dealer. I think he was afraid to find out they weren't anything, and he'd rather just keep them in hope. Out in those fields, he used to talk about finding the mother lode, though, a mason jar of old money. Before the banks were reliable, people used to stuff their belongings in jars and then bury them in the yard, a way to keep locations of valuables secret. In the kitchen, I poured Cheerios into a bowl, remembering how Papa told me they were donut seeds. That a dumb kid must have been to spend hours burying them around our yard, waiting for them to sprout. Grammy shuffles into the kitchen. "Morning, Delcy girl. How about some crooks and nannies?" "Sure," I laugh. The English muffin box says that they have nooks and crannies, but crooks and nannies is one of our favorite jokes. I tell her about my dream. She shakes her head. "Oh, that silly metal detector of his, naming it Homer and talking like it was a family member. Should we take Homer to the beach with us? Maybe Homer would like to go for a ride." "You call him silly. Don't you call your car darlin' every morning?" She laughs. "I suppose I do. That darlin' and Homer would make a lovely couple, don't you think?" Homer would say he looked for darlin' his whole life. I expect her to laugh at my joke, but she looks sad, shaking her head. She begins to make tea. "Oh, how I miss that man," she tells me. "Remember how happy he'd be on stormy Sunday nights in the summer?" "Yes, he'd call them Treasure Trove Mondays because tourists had been dropping things on the beach all weekend. Remember the diamond ring?" I asked her. "He actually danced on Corporation Beach." "Yes, he did. And then he found that sign for a lost ring. Oh, that girl was so happy to get it back." I smile thinking about going to him to meet the girl, watching a complete stranger throw her arms around Papa Joseph. It was also the first time I saw anyone cry, really cry, from being just plain happy. "I've been thinking about Papa's treasures, actually," Grammy says. "Those half-cent coins he found in Concord must be worth something, and his pocket watch would be worth a lot. It might be time to visit the dealer again," she sighs. "Grammy, we can't sell Papa's things." "Delcy, I know, I do, but the watch alone would fix all of the problems with that car. And that old furnace. It may be hot today, but the winds will howl on the Cape before we know it. We'll need heat without soot." "I'd rather be cold." Her shoulders droop. "To be honest, Delcy, having his stuff around just stirs up things for me, reminds me of what I've lost." Then she comes over and places her hand on my face. "Thank the Lord I have you." "But Grammy..." "Baby, we need the money. And now Henry tells me the roof will need work too." She looks weary. I know she's right about the money, but I feel differently about things. Thinking back to our metal detecting days, I get an idea of how to keep Papa's stuff safe. And I know that it's wrong, but the need to hold on to a little pieces I have left of people I love is overwhelming. Once Grammy leaves for work, I run up the stairs and get the strong-shouldered jar I got at the tag sale and unscrew the top. I line it with toilet paper to make a cushion on the bottom. I go into Papa's drawer and pick up the box where he kept his treasures. He called them memory shakers, things that remind him of good times. I go through the box and find Papa Sterling's silver pocket watch and rub the finger of the fisherman standing in a rowboat. He's got an Irish cap, just like Papa wore. The chain attached swings back and forth. I push the button, and the lid pops open. It's still running. I swallow hard, thinking of a million of the times he opened that watch to check the tides. Gently, I place the watch in the jar. I search the box for more treasures and find the round pieces of white metal that Papa thought were musket balls and 2 British half-cents from Concord. There is a pirate's coin from Pirate's Cove, the big mini-golf place on 28. I'm pretty sure there is mine, so I slip it in my pocket. I smile, thinking this memory shaker must be about me. There are some pins from General Electric because Papa's fathers worked there with Olive's father. They were friends, so Papa knew Olive his whole life. There is a strong-shouldered mason jar, but it's only 3 inches tall. Not much use for drinking tea. Jelly, maybe? Except the lid has a slot in it. I think it's a bank for coins. A keychain that says Datsun on it. I wonder what that is. I try to think if I've ever heard of a Datsun. Massachusetts. There are 2 little discs about the size of checkers. One says the whale and the other says the ship. I love them. They have ridges on the side like quarters do. There is a scrimshaw knife with an etching of a great white and a message in a bottle and its stomach on it. I wonder where he got it. I wish I could ask him. I find the lures that Papa made from old spoons and pieces of wood. I recognize the multicolored fish with a crooked eye. He has his first lure. He used to say, "This was the beginning of my acquisition to great wealth." And then he'd lean back laughing. He'd pull me close. He'd kiss the top of my head and say, "I don't have a lot of digits in my bank account, but I'm a wealthy man indeed." Grammy is right. Holding his things makes me ache with the missing of him. And I understand what she meant about being sad when she sees them. But I feel more than that. The memories make me happy too. I like thinking about him, and I'm happy that he was my Papa. The happy and sad are like 2 hands clasped together. I wish I could share these feelings with Grammy. I add Papa's knife and the coins to the jar, and when I go to put the box back in his dresser, I find another box. Wondering what it is, I slide it out. Written on top, in Grammy's swirly handwriting, is "My Melly." I gasp a little bit and slowly lift the lid, feeling like she might step out of it. There is a necklace made of tiny stones in all different colors. It's so beautiful that I wonder why she didn't take it with her. But then there are a lot of other things she should have taken with her. I'm surprised to find a ticket from a Mariah Carey concert. My mom wrote, "We belong together," in blue pen across the top. I wonder who she was thinking about when she wrote that. And there are 2 rings. The first is a small ring with a little stone on top. It's beautiful. I slip it on my finger and admire it. I'd like to keep it, but Grammy would see. It can't be a diamond, so if there were diamonds around here, I'd know. The other ring was a whale that wraps around your finger. I love it too. There's a collection of root beer bottle caps. I guess she did like root beer, like Grammy and me. I place her things in the jar and fill up the rest of it with toilet paper and screw on the lid extra tight. Then I carry it out to Papa's shed and find his shovel. I find a patch with a few dandelions as I can and skin the grass with the shovel, carefully removing the sheet of dirt and sand and grass. Then I start digging a hole. When it's finished, I hold the jar one last time. I look down at the things Papa loved. And the hole he's left by being gone feels so deep and wide. I can't find a way up and out. I remember how he always smelled like coffee, and he leaned forward and listened to every word when I told him a story. Missing him makes me sad, but at least there are lots of good memories too. With my mom, it is different. Having to wonder what I've missed with her is a whole other kind of empty. I place the jar in the hole and fill it in around the edges with dirt. Then I cover the rest and replace the patch on the long grass and dandelions. Looking back to the shed, I notice Henry has his snow shovel out. It's leaning against the front of the house like it does every summer, reminding me a reminder of colder, harsher times. He says it's good to remember the hard times in the middle of the good ones. Never take anything for granted. Before Papa died, I thought that was dumb. Not anymore. Chapter 21. Not So Perfect Picture. I come back from the drugstore with more prints for the wall of the Left Behind. As I tape them up, though, I hesitate. Why a wall of abandoned objects? Am I supposed to understand how a towel feels about being left on the beach? I mean, I guess I'm trying to be deep, but maybe it's just dumb. So I think that I should add some regular family pictures, too. I go to Grammy's closet and pull down the picture album. Tucked into the pages, I see my report card from last year when the teacher wrote, "I have potential." I got in trouble for telling her I thought that was just a nice way of calling me a failure. But Grammy says it's a compliment, and that potential is like coupons in a drawer. If you leave them there, they are nothing but scraps of paper. The pictures on the first few pages make me smile. I wish that Grammy were the type to put pictures in frames and hang them up. I grabbed a loose Halloween picture of Esme dressed in waders, holding a fishing pole, and Henry dressed as a giant fish. This was last year, and I remember him saying over and over that he was the catch of her life. She both agreed and rolled her eyes at him. There are lots of birthday pictures, and I smile at all the lopsided cakes. It's been a joke with Grammy that no matter how hard she tries, her cakes are always crooked. She says love isn't perfect, and so why should a cake filled with love be? One of these will cheer my wall up. Then I spot an older picture. I look past the cake and me, ready to blow out the candles. I'm still smiling when I notice her, the woman standing behind me in the picture. It's the woman from the candy frame. It's my mother. She was there. My fingerprints turn white as I hold the picture. I stare, feeling sick and happy all at the same time, blinking. Is it really her? The door closes downstairs and Grammy calls to me, "Delcy girl, I'm home." Home? By the time I reach the bottom of the stairs, my chest hurts. I cannot get the air out of my lungs in order to fill them again. Grammy's in the kitchen and I stand in the doorway. Whew, what a day. I think I'll smell like pine sol right up until the day I meet my maker. Whenever I have had a question for Grammy, my heart question, the kind of question that Esme would ask over tea, we've been on the couch, snuggled up together. So it feels strange to be standing so far away, waiting for the courage to ask the question or hear the answer. "I have to ask you something," I blurt out. "Anything, Delcy, you know that. I need the truth. You promise?" She looks concerned. "I never lied to you. I don't have to." "Did my mother come home when I was little?" She sees the picture at my side and takes a deep breath. "She did," she says, sounding ready to wrap me up in her arms, like when I was little and scraped my knees. She showed up on your third birthday. We didn't even know that she was coming. And then she left again? She nods. I tried to swallow the lump in my throat. So she left me twice then. Yes, she did. But why didn't you make her stay? I interrupt. The sound of the last word, the way I draw out the vowel, makes me hear how much I wanted that. She left because. Just tell me, please. I know, Grammy. She is standing there trying to think of a way to soften the news of how my mother wanted to leave again, and she and Papa begged her to stay, but she wouldn't. I know she's trying to be kind, but it begins to walk up my back, and I snap, Grammy! She steps forward. She wasn't ready to be your mama. What do you mean? She thought it was too much trouble? Like too much work or something? No. Grammy begins to tear up, making her eyes look blurry. Making her eyes look bluer. Delcy, the truth is that I made her go. It's like she speaks a foreign language. I don't understand. What? You made her go? She wanted to stay? She nods. Well, it was a long time ago now, she tells me. And the problem was that she was doing things a person just shouldn't be doing when they are taking care of a child. I told her over and over that any time she wanted to quit those things and be a mother you needed, she was welcome back. I pace when I want to sprint. This whole thing feels like a world has flipped upside down and I'm dangling, just trying to hold on. I make a sound like a puppy who's been stepped on. It's okay, she whispers. It's not okay, I say even louder than expected. How could you do that? I didn't have a choice, baby. I didn't. What do you mean? Of course you had a choice. Well, if she were the mother you imagine or the one you deserve, it would have been easy. She leans forward and it sounds like she's begging. I miss her too, you know. I stop pacing and look at Grammy. Melly, your mama had many special gifts. She was smart and caring and funny, but those parts of her got lost. And even if she wasn't here now, you carry the good parts of her inside. I don't want to carry her inside. I want her to paint my toenails and show me how to put on makeup and just have a mom like everyone else does. That hurts her, I can tell. But I hurt too. My heart and my body ache from the anger. I try to storm past her, but she follows me. I was trying to stand by you. You needed someone too, she says. That's what you call standing by me? Yes. Did she want me? I ask, not sure which answer I want to hear. Yes, she did. She loved you, Delcy, but she wasn't able to be responsible for you. So we all, Henry and Esme and me and Papa, decided to keep you safe here. My fingernails digging into my palms begin to sting. I know this isn't easy to understand, but it was because we love you. You're my girl, my Delcy. Everything hurts from shoving away all the stuff that makes me sad inside. I want to blast her, but she already looks broken. I want to tell her I'm not her girl. I'm my mother's girl. And that it's her fault that I'll never be anyone's daughter. Ever. I want to hurt her. This Grammy I love so much. But I can't. I think of my mom and imagine her walking down our driveway and leaving Dennisport, knowing that someday I'd be old enough for her leaving to really hurt me. I know she's the one I really never forgive. Chapter 22. Optimistic Elephants. After After our argument, Grammy and I act like nothing happened, which is fine, I guess. I know sometimes Grammy has a hard time talking about things, but I can tell she's not mad at me. I'm not mad at her. Still, it feels good to get out of the house when Esme invites me to lunch. She looks beautiful when she comes to get me. She has her purple heels on, and her afro is in the side swept updo, but there's one thing she doesn't have that surprises me. Where's Ruby? Your Grammy's going to watch her, she says, reaching for my hand. I take it, and I smile. Esme and I slide into her car and head towards Route 6A, which Grammy calls Captain's Crunch because of the string of captain's houses and weekend traffic in the summer. We pull into the parking lot of a yellow house called the Optimist Cafe. She turns the car off and then holds up one finger, telling me to stay put. She runs to my side of the car and opens the door for me. Now, this is a fine tea house, and they have some darn good food, but there's something else I think you'll really like. We are seated at a corner table, and Esme immediately takes her silverware out of a fancy cloth napkin and spreads the napkin on her lap. I do the same. So they have a bunch of fruit teas that you'll like, and the crepes are delicious. What's going on, I ask. Is something wrong? Her eyebrows scrunch. No, why would you think something was wrong? I don't know, I don't know. My voice trails off like a bird flying away from the shore. You don't usually ask me to get dressed up and take me out. I'm even wearing shoes. Well, it must be a special day, she smiles. Is there a reason you're taking me out? Do you have bad news or something? Goodness, no. We used to go out when you were younger, and I guess I realized that we hadn't been out in a long time, and I've missed it. Oh. So, she begins, how are things? I have a feeling she knows the answer. She waits for me, and that's how it is with Esme. She'll ask a question she knows is hard to answer, and the air is filled with nothing but her waiting and smiling while you try to figure out what to say. Okay, I guess. I finally answer. Too much to explain, and I like that Esme doesn't press me. She knows I'll talk when I'm ready. Being with her is a relief in a world where holding on to people feels like trying to hold on to wet fish. I look around and do a double take in an odd painting, and then realize that the room is filled with them. Geez, weird paintings, I say, staring at a goofy-looking boy and a girl holding hands coming down a hill. Next to it, there's an egg wearing a man's suit and hat sitting on a wall with a bunch of happy soldiers all around. She points. Can you figure it out? Keep in mind, we're in the Optimist Cafe. I know what an optimist is. Henry and Esme are always calling themselves optimists and telling Olive to not be such a pessimist. That life is too short. She points at the goofy boy and girl. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water, but Jack did not fall down and break his crown. When she points at another, and there, a girl with a bonnet who was surrounded by sheep. Little Bo Peep did not lose her sheep. Corny, but I like them. I point this time. What about that one? I ask about a bridge with a clock tower behind it. I guess London Bridge is not falling down. She points at a far wall. Little Miss Muffet enjoying a snack with a spider. I turn and smile. Cool, very optimistic. After a few seconds, I notice Esme's necklace. Oh, you're wearing your elephant necklace. I used to play with when I was little. Didn't I name it something dumb? Trunky. But you were only about 3 years old, so you were advanced for your age. I don't don't think so. I put down my menu and stare at the elephant, trying to come up with something to say. The waitress saved me by coming over to take our order. After she leaves, I ask, "Why do you like elephants so much? I mean, they're not really cuddly like bears." "Well, I don't know that I would cuddle a bear, but yes, I do love elephants because they are very intelligent and empathetic. And," she falls against the back of her chair, "I've heard that in the wild they react to humans like humans react to puppies, like they think they're cute." "Really? I guess we are, all tiny and everything." "And they are uncommonly sensitive. They mourn their dead just like we do. In fact, I read a story about Lawrence Anthony, a man called the Elephant Whisperer. He was so kind to elephants, saving many of their lives. He had elephants stay at his home." "At his home?" "Well, I don't think they took up guest rooms or anything." We laugh. Anyway, this kind man passed away, and 2 days after his death, about 25 elephants traveled for 12 hours and showed up at his house and stayed for 2 days and 2 nights. They stayed as if they were mourning his death. Wait, how did they know he died? That's the thing. No one knows how they knew. They just showed up. I sit thinking about that. Esme rests her elbows on the table. You know, though, one thing I love most about elephants is when several elephant families live together. They all become one. The parent elephants look out for and protect all the babies, not just ones born to them. Those elephants are smart enough to know that blood doesn't always make a herd. Love is more powerful than that. She holds my gaze as I try to figure out if she is telling me that she loves me. It feels like she is. The waitress delivers some fruit and biscuits and other delicious things. Staring at the berries, I screw up the courage to tell Esme what's been on my mind. "I've been wondering," I say. "Can I ask you a question?" "Anything. If something happened to Grammy, would you..." Her eyes widen. "Dulcie, of course we would take you. You wouldn't be alone for a second." "It doesn't seem like there would be room for me." She leans forward and locks eyes with me. "Sugar Pop, we always make room for the things that matter." The front door slams and the woman at the desk asks, "Can I help you?" "No thanks, just looking for someone," he says. "Ronan, is it Ronan?" He blows right by the lady, who clearly wanted more detail. "Hey," he says, sliding into a chair. "Ronan, right?" Esme asks. "What are you doing here?" I ask. "Your Grammy said you were here." "Did she tell you to come?" He shrugs. "No, I just did." "Would you like something to eat?" Esme asks. "It's on me. That is, if you're hungry." "Are you?" "Hungry, I mean." I'm wondering what's up with Ronan. I like him, but his timing is the pits. "Well, a little," he says. Esme asks the waitress to bring another setting. "Help yourself to some of the pastries. There's plenty." He reaches for a biscuit and some butter and licks his fingers. Esme hands him a napkin. He tucks it behind the collar of his t-shirt so it hangs down the front of him like a bib. "So tell me, Ronan," she asks, "how long have you lived here? Are you a caper or a lowly wash ashore like me?" "Nah, I just got here a couple months ago." "With your parents?" He glances over at me. "Nope, just my dad." "Where is your mom?" I sit up straighter, realizing that I don't know the answer. Where is his mom? He looks at Esme and seems sort of flustered. "Why do you want to know?" he asks. "Oh, I'm sorry, I was just curious. You don't have to tell me, I was just making conversation." He reaches for another biscuit. "She died," he says. "So I came to live with my dad. I never stayed with him before, but he's okay, although he doesn't talk much. We're like two great white sharks, just circling each other. He left a job on a swordfish boat to have me come. He says he misses it. He turns to me and points at my plate. You gonna eat that? I shake my head, not even knowing what he's asking about. I can't believe it. Wait, I say, your mom died? Yeah, it was a big thing, you know. Anyway, does this place have chocolate milk? Even Esme doesn't know what to say. I think they do, Ronan, she says, studying him and looking all worried. Can I get some? He doesn't blink, holding her gaze like his life depends on it. Sure, you can get some. She leans forward on her elbows. Ronan? He looks up quick. Are you okay? Have you spoken to anyone about this? Nah, he reaches for some jam. I don't like to talk about that stuff, but I do talk to Delcy all the time. Did she tell you about Darwin, the crab that I threw back in the water? I laugh because I don't know what else to do. Things not making sense seems to make sense these days. Poor Ronan, and here I've been feeling sorry for myself. Chapter 23, A Shovel Full of Sand. Delcy, Miss Feister calls. I stop. Miss Feister, how are you? I'm good, but I really haven't seen you around for a while. What have you been up to? Lots of stuff. Helping Granny, training for a 5K, and you know, the summer. Well, Brandy has missed having you around. You should go find her. She's down on the beach. I wonder if Brandy has told her that, or if she is just doing the mom thing. Sometimes adults have no idea what's really going on. Okay, thanks, I answer, and turn toward the beach. She didn't say if Teresa was down there or not. I pray she isn't. It's the perfect summer day, and the beach is crowded. Colored umbrellas and beach chairs cover the sands like confetti. Boogie boards ride the waves. Sandcastles line the water's edge. I spot Brandy, alone. Relieved, I start down the wooden steps to the beach, but by the time I'm halfway down, I see Teresa walking out of the waves with a boogie board. She sees me, so I don't feel like I can just turn and go now, especially Brandy has missed me at all. Hey, I say as I reach them. Hey, Dels, Brandy says, and that makes me happy. Teresa smirks. What are you doing here? Cleaning rooms? There's a girl getting buried in the sand right next to us. Her friends are slowly covering her up, and I can hear her whining. Why can't one of you do this instead? What's the big deal? One of the kids asks. Don't be such a baby, snaps the other. You said you wanted us to do it. Hello, Teresa asks, pulling me back. What are you doing here? The voice of the girl being buried bugs me, and I think about the day I had lunch with Brandy and Teresa. Or rather, I didn't because I thought they'd make fun of my sandwich. I remember pretending to know things and like things I didn't just because I wanted them to like me. Teresa laughs. The girl behind me cries. I hear Grammy's voice telling me they can't break me. I stare at Teresa in the eye and straighten my back. I step forward. I'm here because I live here. The Cape is my home. And yeah, I was cleaning rooms because that's what my Grammy does here, and she needed my help. She works hard and is a great person. You are not. I turn to Brandy, and you are just disappointing. Brandy goes from watching me to looking at her feet. I turn away and walk over to the girl being buried in the sand. She stops crying and gazes up at me. This stranger standing over her. Listen, I say. You can either stay there while they throw shovelfuls of sand on you, or just climb out. Your choice, not theirs. Then I head towards the stairs, not even looking back at Brandy or Teresa, and it feels really good to step away from the shovels of sand they've been throwing on me for weeks, and finally climb out of the hole. Chapter 24, Storm. The meteorologists on the TV sound happy and excited this morning, which means that they are in for some pretty fierce weather today. The morning is humid but nice. People are on the beach, so I head off to find Grammy and help her clean some bathtubs. With her knees, she often has me help with those. I hear people talking about the storm and how disappointing it is to get bad weather on vacation. I completely disagree. Although I've never been on vacation, why would we leave the Cape to go somewhere else? Olive says she hasn't been over the bridge since God was a boy. I guess that was a long time ago. I turn on the weather channel in the room we're cleaning. The meteorologists are still delivering bad news like a party invitation. Severe winds, torrential rain, coastal flooding, lightning. All sounds great to me, too. Grammy, I'll be right back, I say, running out to the grassy area. The sky right above is still blue, but the clouds in the distance are getting darker and moving our way quickly. I run to the top of the wooden stairs and look down to the beach. Teresa and Brandy are lying on towels. Seeing Brandy makes me sad, and I get the funny thought that friendship is like the boogie board. You have to learn when to hold on and when to let go. I feel better now that I've let go. I do a double take when I look back at the sky and see something I've only seen on weather shows. An enormous anvil cloud is out over the Atlantic. The edges of the cloud are crisp and defined. This means we are in for serious thunderstorm and maybe even some water spouts. Tornadoes that form over the ocean and sometimes come up onto land, dropping things they've sucked out of the sea as they travel. I look down at Brandy and Teresa again. They are wearing their matching sunglasses. I wonder if I should warn them that they won't need those for long, but I don't have to. All of a sudden it gets really dark out and people start fleeing the beach. Teresa races by me, but Brandy stops. This is wicked weather, Dulcie. You aren't going to sit on the beach and watch it, right? No, I would, but I can't. Grammy won't let me. Good, she says before running to catch up with Teresa. I'm happy and have a little hope that Brandy does seem to care and maybe we'll be friends again after all. But as I watch her with Teresa, I accept that a friend who changes as much as the weather is no friend at all. I look back toward the ocean. Cool air is blowing in, and Ronan's dad is taking down the American flag. And a woman shields her face as she runs with a book and towel across the grass. A volleyball is pushed up the sidewalk by the wind. I run to the steps. The anvil cloud is closer. I can see the rain coming down out over the ocean, a curtain of water. It's beautiful. The waves come ashore like black claws, hammers pounding the sand. The surf rumbles like thunder. A beach umbrella is lifted out of the sand and tumbles down the beach. It flips end to right over where Teresa and Brandy had been. And then the sky cracks in two. The rain doesn't come slowly. It comes all at once in sheets. I run to find Grammy. When I get to the cottage where her supply wagon is parked, I step inside. The weather is super cool. I guess some people would say really bad. It sounds fierce, she says, her eyebrows scrunched up like dust bunnies. I peeked out the window, worried where you were. She is running around finishing up her last room of the day. We have to get home, Grammy says quickly. Olive will be a wreck. Olive? Storms, remember? Olive is terrified of severe storms like this. I just called Henry. He's not answering his phone. Esme and Ruby are off Cape today, so we'll have to go to Olive ourselves. But I want to stay on the beach and watch. She whips her head around. I'd sooner paddle out to that storm in a metal skiff with a flagpole strapped to my back than leave you here to watch such a thing. I know there's no point in arguing as we scurry across the lawn, but then I hear people talking about a kid who had been in the water and called for help. How no one in their right mind would go out in the water on a day like this. It was probably that caretaker's kid, one says. What's his name? He's always into something. I stop. I look to the ocean. I think it was the caretaker who went in after him, the woman says. I run. I run across the grass with Granny yelling my name all the way, thinking of the day I first saw Ronan standing on the edge of the water during the storm. Did he go in this time? I have never seen the surf like this. It pounds the jetties with such force that the water sprays straight up into the air, creating giant walls of water that soar and then come crashing down on the rocks. A beach chair rolls along the sand as if it wants to fly like a plane. The waves roar. I don't see anyone in the water. No one is there. What has happened? The water is more white than dark now. It reminds me of teeth. Grammy comes up behind me and tugs at my sleeve. Come on, Delcy, we have to go. Olive is probably losing her mind. I don't want to leave, but Grammy looks panicked, and I wonder what kind of danger Olive is in. I scan the water one more time. No Ronan, no Gusty. She tugs again, and I run with her as we jump into the car. But Ronan, I can't just leave Ronan. We're going to have to trust that he had the good sense to stay out of the water and he's okay. Olive needs us. I immediately turn the radio to AM and set it for no station at all. There are static with no station, but pops as well. The pops are lightning hitting the ground nearby, and there are a lot of pops. Dangerous. The lightning cracks overhead and Grammy jumps. I would rather not be in a car during a lightning storm, she says. A car is one of the safest places to be. Just avoid falling trees. She gives me a look and says, I'll avoid the trees. I just hope they'll avoid me. The rain feels like a car wash, water hitting us from all directions. The tree branches whip in the wind. The smaller trunks bend. Soon it's hailing and it sounds like we are being pummeled with pebbles. We drive into our circle and a small branch blocks our driveway. I look up at Olive's tree and pray it holds on. It would flatten one of our small houses if it ever fell down. We pull right up to Olive's house and run to it. Grammy swings open the unlocked door. Olive is sitting under her kitchen table, her knees to her chest. Oh, Bridget, you're here. I called Henry, but he didn't answer and... The wind doesn't howl. It screams. The wooden house creaks. The wind feels angry, like the walls will come apart. I wonder about the barometric pressure again. This may be a hurricane. Is this a hurricane? I'm going to check my weather station. Grammy whips her head around. Oh, no, you're not. You've got a weather station right here, she says, pointing at the window. Grammy reaches for Olive. Come, Olive, please. I have already opened the cellar door. Olive doesn't want to come out from under the table. She shakes her head. Now hush, Olive. Come with us. The cellar will be safer. We all jump when something crashes against the side of the house. Finally, Olive gets up and the three of us file down the basement steps. We sit under the stairs in the basement because it's the safest place. Staring upward, all praying for the same thing, I suppose, that somehow this house will stay planted on the ground. I don't need any hugging, but Olive needs some. Grammy wraps her up, and it surprises me to see Olive taking a hug like that. The wind screams. We stay quiet. I worry and pray and think about Ronan, hoping that boy stayed out of the water during a storm. All right, that's it for chapter 24. Next time, we'll be reading chapters 25 through 29. So get ready.